Today we're going to be talking about the worst and best times of the year to buy or sell a home in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, so stick around.
All right, so obviously the best time to buy is probably going to be the worst time to sell, and the best time to sell is probably going to be the worst time to buy. And so we're going to be talking about what makes those times the way they are and help hopefully guide you through that process.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously there are going to be some people that have to buy and sell at the same time, so trying to figure out which season is better for that. So we'll talk a little bit about that too.
All right, so we'll kick it off with the best times to buy. And there's gonna be 3 data points that we use to determine what the best times to buy is. And they are active inventory, so how many homes are currently for sale in the market, months worth of inventory. So essentially what this means is if no home was listed, no more homes were put on the market, how many months would it take you to work through the current inventory that's on the market? So that one's a little different than active homes on the market because it's also factoring in demand into that. And then the last one we're going to be looking at is percent of list price received. So obviously, I mean, it's really basic, but like, you know, if you receive 99% of your list price, that means the buyer got it for 1% less. Or if you receive 101%, that means the buyer had to pay 1% over what it was listed for. So those are 3 data points we're going to use to determine what time of year is the best year to buy. And if you look at the data, and I mean, we went way back to like 2016, 2015 in this data, and there is a theme to it, which makes sense because the market is seasonal. And really August to October are gonna be roughly the best months to buy in our market. And we feel that on an annual basis. I mean, the data points to it, but you also feel it when you're looking for a home in August, September, October. Inventory tends to be really good. Months of inventory tends to be really good, and buyers are able to get the home for a lower price than they would be earlier that year.
Yep. And the reason being, I mean, it's kind of obvious, right? Once August rolls back around, kids are back in school, people are like kind of settling in. And then as you get towards October, your mind has already, earlier every year, your mind is already thinking about Christmas, right?
I know,
like,
right?
It's like, okay,
it's already the holiday season.
All the holidays, it's gonna be really busy. So, you know, typically, you know, it's just people get busy in the fall and
it's just
winter.
I think it's just less convenient because obviously the school year starts in
no one wants
August
to change
or September.
School districts or anything
you
like
don't
that.
want to change school districts the second you start the school year. And so I think there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think the main ones, are the schools as well as just the holiday season coming up. Most people don't want to, if you don't have to, sell your home during the holiday season. So I think those factors kind of go into that. And I know I mentioned August through October. There's some years where you could lump in November and December. The issue with those months is inventory starts to decline. Buyer demand is low, so you have more leverage in those months, but you don't necessarily have the options that you would in like August, September, October. What's different about this year is I think we're starting to see that spike a little earlier than we typically would. We started seeing it in May. And so I think August, September, October in our area potentially could be really good months.
I think anytime between now and the end of the year could be really good. It'll be interesting to see how the inventory, you know, right now we just have kind of stacking inventory, which is great. I don't know if it'll continue stacking into the fall or not, but that will be really interesting. And I want to point out, I got dressed first this morning and got in the car and realized we're wearing the same color. So not intentionally matching today.
I just grab whatever's in the closet that is closest to me.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, so that kind of tells you some of the better times to buy. Of course, you know, if you want to, we're looking at data points that, you know, things that maybe closed in August, September, October. Most people don't start looking in August and also close on a home in August. Sometimes it takes people a couple months to find the right house. So, you know, even if you started looking in late June or July, you could potentially be hitting some, you know, you could still be looking in August and start hitting some of those. So kind of those late summer to early fall months tend to be a really good time. Now on the flip side of that, if you're looking to sell your home, obviously you might not want to list it at a time where there's a lot more inventory or a lot less buyer demand. You know, you want to list it at a time that you can get the most money for your house and sell it as quickly as possible. And that is going to be a different season than the best time to buy. So we're looking more early spring for the best time to list your home. So usually that's going to be March and April, a little bit into May, but March and April over the last few years have given people the best percent of list price received, you know? And it's not like if you list it in March, you get 110%, whereas December you get 90. You know, it's not that big of a difference, but you know, the last few years we've seen about 99% of the list price received on average on homes that are listed in the spring.
Last year. Any other year is going to be different, but last year was that.
Yeah, well, even before it was roughly pretty close. So, you know, and that's an average, and this is for the whole Triangle region too. You know, if we pulled out just Cary or just Raleigh, these numbers would look a little bit different, but just for sake of the video, this is pulling in everywhere, and this is pulling in fixer-uppers and luxury estate homes, you know, so there's obviously a lot that can go into those numbers, but we were seeing like about 99% of list price received in the spring versus last fall closer to like 97, so a little bit less you could expect as a seller to get with the offers on the house.
Yeah, and so we saw those numbers peak. So we saw sellers getting the most amount of money for their home. Really, May and June are the typical months, which means those sellers probably listed their home March to April, because the closing is when it's going to be in May, June. That's when that date is going to be coming in. And so that time frame, March, April, May, is going to be typically the best months to sell. That's when you're typically going to get the most for your home.
Yep. And it makes total sense, because just like we said, August is kind of slow. People start back at school. May, you know, April and May, people are thinking about the end of the school year.
Exactly.
If you you close on your home in June, it's perfect, because you finish out, you know, some schools end as early as like the last Memorial Day, and some go, you know, first or second week of June. So if you can sell it then, you don't have to worry about that.
And regardless of whether you have kids or not, most people want to be settled come the summertime, because you know, you got vacations planned, you have all these things planned for the summer, and you want to be settled into your home. So that's not just an extra thing on the to-do list. And so I think it makes total sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And as far as, I mean, this kind of leads into the worst times to buy and the worst times to sell. It's really just the opposite, right? Like which makes sense. So the worst times to sell are going to be in the late summer, early fall, typically, and the worst times to buy are going to be in the spring months. But every year it happens that most people are buying in the spring months when it's the worst time to buy. But that's just the logic. I mean, that, like,
because that was easier for them to move, because their kids just finished school too. So I mean, it's like, it's got to align with what works for you.
Exactly.
And a majority of people are, whether they're moving into the area or moving from one house to another in the area, a lot of people have a house they have to sell too. So they, you know, they might benefit on one side and kind of lose a little on the other. And it's like a give and take. It's great if you're like renting and then you can buy in August or September. But you know, that's not the case for everybody. And you know, it's not like, it's not gonna be terrible at any point in time. It's just going in and knowing there are seasons that are better, easier than others, for sure.
All right, so what does this mean for you if you are looking to buy or sell? Really, I mean, if you can time the market, that's great. I mean, the data does point to different seasons of the year that are better than others. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's kind of like timing the stock market perfectly. It's just not, it's just not possible. Like everybody wishes they would have bought Nvidia, you know, a couple years ago, or Bitcoin a decade ago. But like at the end of the day, all that stuff's, you know, hindsight's 2020, and it's kind of the same when it comes to the housing market. You can try to time it perfectly, but the housing market can be unpredictable, and you just do the best
like
you
this
can.
year, it's like it kind of slowed down a little earlier than you normally see, or it was actually surprisingly busy in like January. So you never know exactly what you're going to get. And then when we're looking at obviously the data of the last like 8 to 10 years, 2020 was like crazy, you know, like
Yeah.
it had no
Yeah.
predictability to it.
2020 is the exception to everything we talked about today.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, there is a seasonality to the market, and if you can flow with that seasonality, you'll be in a better position. But like Cindy said, the percent difference of selling your home in the spring versus the fall is not drastic. It's not like in the fall you're going to get, you know,
Lose so
yeah,
much.
you're going to get 10% less than what you get in the springtime.
Yeah.
It's not that drastic, and
Yeah.
so you do the best you can. But
Right.
and
Yeah.
you- and
Like
you
there's
deal-
no
you
reason
deal
to
with the
sell your
market.
house in the spring and then rent something for 6 months.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna waste money trying to do that
Yeah.
and move twice and all that kind of thing. So, you know, no need to do that or anything. But yeah, it's just you never know exactly what's gonna
Yep.
happen and you can't predict it with certainty, but we definitely can see trends in the market.
Exactly. I'm Zach. It's my beautiful wife, Cindy. We are a couple real estate agents in the area. If you are looking to buy or sell, we'd love to be your real estate resource of choice. You can find us at the contact info below, and you can also find us on Instagram.
Yeah, we'd love to have you follow along with us on Instagram. You can find us at the Honeycutt Realtors, and we also have a second Instagram page, the RDU Buzz, kind of going over news and developments, restaurants, parks, things going on in the area. So we'd love to have you follow along over there as well.
Yep, and we will see y'all next time.